What's going on, guys? Welcome to Parlor Talk. We are super excited to be here as we continue developing our programming and getting people on. But welcome, everyone on the socials right now. We're live on YouTube and Facebook, Twitch, and we're excited everyone to be here. We got a lot of really good energy going on around this, and we just want to keep it going. So today, super excited to bring to you two really, really cool artists. So the first one is Purari, hailing from Hoboken, New Jersey. DJ friend of mine, awesome producer. He's got some crazy new music coming out. And then followed up by our good friend Stanley Kubrix. He's from LA, so he's a West Coast cat, and he's going to be talking about producing. Today's episode is going to be, I would say, solely based around just producing, production tips. We're probably going to start out, industry talk with Purari is going to be more entry level, how to get your feet wet into producing, how to start making edits, basic DAW information, just all around like entry level type stuff about producing and making music. And then artist spotlight, will be around Stanley and his new tracks. He's got some really dope fire coming out. And then we're going to talk more into his process. How is he producing? What is he using? Plugins, DAWs, and his workflow. So, just excited to keep it going. So we're monitoring all the socials. Please, if you get a chance, hop over and drop a subscribe on our YouTube channel. So that way, when different shows are coming up, and then everything's getting posted there. So, you can go back and check out old legacy episodes as we go there. So with that, I'm going to dial in Purari, and we're going to get started here. Hey, what's up, Mikey?
Yo, what's up, guys?
You hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? All good?
Yeah, you look good, man. Looking good.
Nice.
Give me 1 sec. We're gonna switch it over here. All right, cool. Good.
You guys got your wine on deck, as I do. Oh,
yeah,
you got White Claws.
I got about 100 White Claw on deck right here.
Well, cheers.
Yeah.
To day, what is this? Day 5 quarantine? Day 6?
Yeah,
Jeez.
day 6. All right, cool. So everyone, welcome to the show right here. Purari, hailing out of Hoboken, New Jersey. We're bringing him on for the industry talk here. So we're super excited to have you. Once again, if you guys are following us, head over to our YouTube and just subscribe and just get involved. So Purari as your stage name, but your real name's Mike. So we'll call you as such. But, just give us a quick intro, man. Where are you from? What are you about? What do you got going on?
Yeah, so my name's Mikey P. That's what everyone used to know me and call me by back in the day. Kind of made the transformation from Mikey P to Purari in 2017, beginning of 2017. And pretty much the Purari brand is more focused on like big room EDM kind of festival music, where as the Mikey P brand did also when I was producing under Mikey P, but kind of focused more on Melbourne bounce on that sound. And that sound kind of died, so I felt it was right just to kind of do a rebrand. Basically, I'm from Verona, New Jersey. I moved here to the Hoboken area about a year ago. And yeah, I still DJ full time. I play a lot of the clubs around here. Still DJ. I mean, not as much now, obviously, but
Right.
I DJ 3-4 nights a week. And yeah, man, just always on the grind. Always, whether it's DJing or producing, just staying busy, staying focused, and that's it. I went to Rutgers University down in New Brunswick to be a doctor. Kind of was just like got my degree, and I was like, you know what? I really do love DJing. This is like my true path. I want to pursue this career, and that's just the way I went. I've been doing it ever since. So,
Doctor of the Beats, man.
They're gonna call you. They're gonna call you up to go treat some patients soon.
I was actually going to school to be a dentist or an orthodontist.
All right,
so
that's
it wasn't
cool.
full doctor, but I was still doing pre-med. Took the organic chemistry,
okay.
Took all that. So it's in the back pocket. It's always in the back pocket.
Good, man. I like that. So today's theme for the industry talk, first half of the show, we're going to talk about production stuff. So I know you and I were just talking in general about some points we wanted to talk about, but we just wanted to kind of put some energy out there around how do DJs that are watching or people that are interested in getting into making their own music. Right, there's a lot of guys that are downloading your originals, downloading your edits, off their favorite record pool. And so we just wanted to kind of have a wholesome conversation, the three of us here, about how would someone a very beginner get into making music, and then just tips from you, like a guy like you're grinding full time, using multiple platforms, making multiple genres, with a long history. So just kind of any nuggets really around that, about if someone wanted to just kind of get started, what would be like a good direction?
Fortunately, just like you guys, I'm actually not a producer first, where a lot of these guys are producers and then they become DJs. I was a DJ at first, and fortunately, I was able to grow up in New Jersey, where we had a lot of teen nights. So, for example, we had a Bace surf club, Teen Pulse nightlife, through a bunch of events at a bunch of different clubs. And when I first got into DJing, I was a bedroom DJ. I just started, playing on virtual DJ on a two pairs of CDJ 800s, Mark 3s, whatever the hell they were. Just popping CDs in. I'd go over to my friend's house and do that kind of stuff. And from doing that, when I was mixing music together, I was kind of like, wow, well, this song kind of sounds good with this one. And naturally, I started making mashups. But the way I made mashups was, this was like in 2010, 2011, I want to say. I was just like 16 or 17 years old, and I just got my foot in the door DJing these clubs, and everybody was kind of playing the same music. So I was like, in my head, what can I do to be different? Can I start making remixes? What can I do? And at the time, I was calling mashup remixes. So I did was I was downloading acapellas, and I would record them live in virtual DJ or Tracked or whatever I was using at the time, over and over again until I got it perfect. So that meant playing the song from the intro, playing the acapella at the breakdown on the right time, and then letting it record on the way out, through the drop. And then on the second breakdown, I'll play the second verse. And I can't tell you how many times I used to do that just to get it right, hours and hours. And then I finally found out, okay, you can get a hold of software and do this stuff. So I started to make edits. My edits started to blow up.
Right.
A lot of the guys from the 92.3 now Dance Factor were playing them on the radio, which was so awesome. I'd be driving around in my car, just got my license on a Friday night, and DJ Toro, Beatbreaker, J Dobby were playing all my stuff on the radio, and I was like, wow, this is sick. I got on Crack for DJs, which was the sister site of Crook and Clan at the time, and I made one of the remixes or bootlegs that I made was a mashup of Party Rock Anthem, which Smells Like Teen Spirit, and it just blew up. It got number 2 most sold song on the site of all time, and because it just worked. It just, the party rock with the rock of the the guitar,
of course,
blew up. Paulie D started to play it, and then obviously me and Frankie Steele started doing stuff together, where we did the Hello One Nation Army, where we took the hello,
of course,
and then
classic.
But classic one. And then I started seeing all these big DJs were playing my stuff, and I was like, dude, this is sick, but what's next? And then finally, my freshman year of college, in my dorm room, I had this friend, his name was Jelly. His name's Pat. We called him Jelly. He's from Long Branch, and he was a big computer guy, and he got me a cracked version of Logic, and I bought a MIDI keyboard with my Crack for DJs money, which was so cool, because I was making $300 to $400 a month just selling my mashups, which was awesome to me.
Right.
And I just started going in and playing, and 10 years of work later, I was doing it every day. I'd go to the library, and I'm supposed to be studying chemistry, and then next thing I know, I'm cracked out on caffeine, and I'm 8 hours deep into a Logic session, didn't turn one page of a book, and that's how I just kept going, man. I can't tell you how many times I've failed classes and stuff because I was so much more into music than studying at the time, and when my inspiration hit, I would just be in the DAW, just doing it. So.
And that's good it's good that you found your passion, and now you're signing records to some of the biggest labels in the area. So hats off to you, Mikey. I think we should let's set a baseline here. So just for all the producers and DJs listening, let's call what and define what a mashup is, what a bootleg is, what a remix is, because I think there's a lot of people kind of use those terms very loosely. So maybe for the purpose of our discussion, let's just kind of baseline it.
For me, a mashup is taking 2 songs blending them together in some way and creating something that's musical. So, for example, taking One More Time by Daft Punk and throwing the Dua Lipa, what's that new song? Can't Stop Now or
Don't
whatever
Start
that
Now.
is.
Yep.
Throwing that over each other and making a mashup of those two. So that's a mashup of one song and another song's elements put together. Now, what I think a lot of people are doing is they're taking the breakdowns of some songs and just changing the drops. To me, yes, that's a mashup, but that's more of like an edit in some way, unless you're doing some more type of stuff. So
Yeah, I agree.
I like to not confuse mashups with edits. Obviously, a bootleg is making an unofficial remix of a song. Like, for example, if I got asked to remix say a Carl Cox track. He came up to me, he asked me to remix it for his label. That would be a remix, an official remix. You don't want to discredit that. And then a bootleg would be, okay, I like this Carl Cox track. I'm gonna remix it, put my own spin on it, but it's unofficial. It's like a bootleg movie. When you go to the movie theater, you're not watching the real movie. You're watching the bootleg version that somebody filmed in the back of the theater. You know what I'm saying?
But Purari's Carl Cox edit is definitely going to sound better than a bootleg movie is going to look.
Right, but there's a fine line too. Like I've remixed a ton of stuff in my day. I've remixed Seven Nation Army. I've remixed Finesse by Bruno Mars, Side to Side. But I like to call them remixes in a way because I don't want them to be confused that it's like a mashup. Like I call it a remix because I only use the acapella from that song and everything else around it is original production. So in that sense, yeah, I like to call it a remix. There's a very fine line with that. So for me, I don't really care too much about that. And then obviously an original track is something you composed originally. So that's my whole opinion on that. I think the pet peeve that we're all talking about here is guys that are calling mashups bootlegs, not to be confused by that.
So no, I think that's a good point, and I think a lot of what people are doing are edits, and I think if we kind of further dive into that, I think like edits are probably like a great way to start, and because you're taking already produced music. Even if you're not like familiar with, there's 1,000 topics once we get into making music, but I mean, like if you're not totally into, writing your own chords, or you're not completely, totally into writing new music or manipulating sounds, I feel like edits are a good way to start because, as long as you are keeping it in key, you can find two tracks. Maybe you want to bring the energy up in one song and, replace it with a higher energy drop. Like that's kind of an easy, simple way to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I think that's like a really good, it's a good avenue to start, right? Because they're kind of low risk, right? If from a new producer perspective, if you're a guy that's DJing out and you want to try to cut cut the drop into, for, another track, I think like that's kind of easy to do and try it out at the club. That's a good part about, being producers and DJs.
That's such a big thing too. That's good you said that it has to work on the dance floor. Like there's so many edits that I listen to now and are out there and I'm like, okay, they're dope, but do they work? And then when I go out and I test them, like they don't work. And that's such a big important thing. Like when I'm making an edit, it's got to work on the dance floor. It's got to be super high energy. It's got to make the people go crazy. Like, I mean, my edits, like they work. That's the bottom line. They got to work. They got to work on the dance floor.
Right.
So,
and like what always like what you might be tapping your foot to in your bedroom or in the studio when you're prepping for your sets doesn't always translate to the dance floor.
Right.
So I think that's really important. But and then I think then you kind of move on from there. I think what's a little bit more technically difficult would be doing a real mashup and a mashup that works, right? Because
right.
Just because they're in key doesn't mean that the chord progressions are the same or that the bass lines are going to fit right or any of that stuff. But I like you. I remember like that was like the thing were mashups. It was name any super hot song and name the next hottest acapella, and whoever got it on top of it first and it worked. It went big, right? I mean, that was a big part of music for a while.
There's guys that have made mashup careers. They've made careers off mashups, like straight off the bat. Look at Mac J. Mac J has a whole career made off mashups. He started making mashups with Crook and Clan, with B Breaker. He went on to the next thing and started releasing mashups for likes on Facebook page. And then, boom, people knew him for his mashups. So when he released an original song, he had this whole fan base already waiting for his original music. Like, and at the time, it was cool because people were collabing on mashups. Like, he did one that was, I think it was the Empire of the Sun track. I can't think of the name of it. What is it? Walking on a Dream
Yep.
with this other
Yep.
track by Peace Treaty, and he collabed on it with Hardwell, which was like a Hardwell and Mac J mashup. And then when they put it out, people knew him because he had his name attached to Hardwell. And if you make a mashup and a big DJ plays it and your name is attached to it, A, your name is in their Serato, so that DJ knows who you are or on their record box or whatever. And B, you're getting so much more exposure. I mean, yes, people are going to say, oh, okay, it's this track, it's this guy's track. But like, if the DJs go find it and it becomes popular, they see it's you, they see your name on it. So it's such a good branding tool that I feel like went away for a little while and now is slowly coming back. I think it's great that guys are doing it, you know?
Yeah, I like that a lot. I want to talk. Point it over to Chris for a second. Using third-party apps like Hype Edit and the music pools to kind of push your music. I know Chris just had a Billie Eilish remix, well, a bootleg, if you will, based on our terminology. You know, just did really well over on Hype Edit.
We're gonna call it a remix. It's okay.
It's a remix. It's a remix.
It's a remix. Why don't you talk about like your experience, with Hype Edit and how that helped get your track in front of thousands of people?
Yeah, I just think like some of those sites that repost your stuff and a lot of like DJs and people that are into music go to download stuff are huge. Also, for some reason, that track must have just hit some algorithm in SoundCloud and it's on some playlists because I'm still getting like a couple thousand streams a week on that track for some reason. I don't know why, but whatever. I'm not complaining. Just hoping it doesn't really ever get taken down.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with SoundCloud. Like, that'll be the killer. So
yeah,
knock on wood.
Yeah, and there's nothing original in that track from the original other than the acapella.
Right.
Everything else
and that's
was
how they'll flag
from
you,
scratch.
unfortunately, which sucks, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes it happens. I'm hoping it doesn't. It's been up for quite some time, and it's got a lot of plays on it. So that's definitely like helped my SoundCloud profile, start to grow. And I've got like this huge list of emails now from all the people who've downloaded it. Which
absolutely,
I think is
that's such a good tool to do. Like, even it just sucks now that SoundCloud isn't as big as it was. But like, take it back 5-6 years ago when like it was
Right.
the
Yeah.
tool to do it. Dude, you could build a whole career just giving out mashups or free stuff or free remixes, like in exchange for a Facebook like or a Instagram follow or whatever, like an email address. I think what you're doing with emails is so like fucking dope, because now you have an email thing, so when you make your next mashup, you have a whole list, you could blast it out to people, and that's such a good marketing tool that people don't really take into account.
And that's why like Hyped Edit to begin, like that one, for example, that ZA specifically mentioned is one of the ones that I've used, but theirs is awesome because as soon as you upload a new one, it's like, oh, do you want to email these 20 people or these 200 people you have on this list from this song?
Yeah.
Like, and then do you want to recommend another song when they download this one? So it just like, I see this like, it like kind of the snowball effect. Someone downloads one track and then like 1 out of 10 that download that end up downloading your old track that you recommended to them through email, and then they just start downloading more and more stuff. So it's really cool to see.
Free
that.
marketing. It's like a snowball effect. Like, all you're asking for is a repost and an email address. That repost could be to 30 people that follow them or 1,000 people that follow them. Or if you get someone like, I don't know, Hardwell to download your song and he reposts it because you have to in the download, that's 1 million people. It's literally free snowball effect. And that's how like shit blows up. Like, it's as simple as that.
It's tough. You just got to like put the time in to stay on top of it and constantly be putting more content out. Because I'm guilty of it myself. I'll put out like, one song a quarter. Like if I put out 3 or 4 a year, it's like,
dude, I'm guilty of that because, I mean, look at my last quarter. Like, the last quarter I did Beast on Revealed, which was like my #1 record. That was my dream label, my dream. I got a Hardwell label.
So big props on that one.
Thanks, bro. That was like a long time coming, like super long time coming. But then right after that, I fired out with like this track Like That on Dirty Dutch, which was Chucky's label.
Yep.
And then right after that, I fired out with like Rockin', and now it's like, all right, what's next? What's the next thing to do? So like now I'm just taking the time to, be inside during this quarantine, get my new music ready. And then as soon as festival season's ready, you're going to just see a ton of Purari tracks everywhere. Like, I'm doing a lot more stuff with vocals. I'm kind of taking this like new psytrance style I'm doing and blending it with other genres, which is cool. And just kind of making it me. So when you hear like a rolling bass line, you could be like, wow, that's like a Purari track.
Yeah.
Or
there's got to be like an element of it that everyone's like, oh shit, I recognize that. That's this guy.
Absolutely.
because I
Absolutely.
have that music now in my library, and I think those guys are so well distinguished from the others that's why their
Yeah.
brand like pops out over everyone else's brand.
Absolutely. So I'm just trying to keep it high energy. And again, a lot of the stuff that I make, whether it's an edit or an original, I have to be able to play it in my DJ set. That's such an important thing where a lot of guys, and no disrespect, but like a lot of guys are making stuff for radio now and like Spotify playlisting. That's great. But like when you go to DJ that music, I'm a DJ at first. So for me to DJ that music, I'm going to play it. And I know people are going to sit around and like, be like, all right, this is cool, like 110 BPM radio music.
Yeah.
They're going to sit up and look at me. Like, I know I need it to be fast. I need people dancing, jumping, doing something. So.
Yeah, sometimes you could play that stuff like, when there's 20 people in the club, like right at opening, but
Right,
like,
yeah.
and you're like sending it to your boys. You're like, oh, look, your track's doing so well. Here's the 20 people dancing.
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone's got their own lane, man. Everyone, like, this is just what I've always done and what I've always stick by. This is what's true to me. And I think that's so important being an artist is just sticking what's true to you. And for me, big room, high energy music was the basis of what I started at when I was a little kid. That's what I grew up on. So
right. That's awesome, man. So let's dive into a little bit more about your production workflow. You said you're a Logic guy, but you sometimes use Ableton. Talk to us about like what's integrated in your workflow. Maybe throw a couple tips out there for someone that's like looking to just get started. Maybe talk like Ableton. I'm a big Ableton guy personally myself. I know you're Logic, so maybe just throw some information out there for people.
Yeah. So the only reason why I'm honestly still on Logic is because I know it like the back of my hand, and I think that's super important is to know your DAW like the front and back of your hand, right? So I always use this example. Like I said, I do a lot of mentoring stuff and producing lessons on the side. I've always done it, and something I tell all my students is you can't go build a house if you don't know how to stack a brick or use a hammer or use a screwdriver. Your screwdriver is your compressor, your hammer is your EQ, your whatever is this. So you have to know the tools. You have to know how to do everything. And that's what I am with Logic. I just know how to do everything in Logic the same way I could do it in Ableton, or like the same way I'd use a third-party plugin to achieve that effect in Ableton. Whereas Ableton, I think you guys have the fastest workflow. I think you guys, you would have the Command D where you could just duplicate stuff, where I'm just like, selecting, holding alt, dragging, then selecting that, and then dragging it over. So
right.
Ableton's super sick with that. But so like I said, I'm in Logic, and my workflow, it really depends. I like to go into the studio with an idea. So if I don't have a general idea of like, okay, I'm going to make this big room side trance track or whatever, I kind of just open up Logic anyway, and I just start messing around. I think that's such a big thing. It's just because you never know what's going to spark creativity, right? You never know if it's like a melody that you heard in the gym. Like, for example, my first release is Purari Liftoff. That melody came to me in the gym. I ran outside the gym. I recorded it in my phone. I shot home from the gym. The track came in 2 hours. Beast was me playing around on my girlfriend's couch at the time. I think I was making fun of another DJ, and I was like, dude, look, this is so easy. And I started like writing the melody and putting the bass line. I was like, wow, this actually came out dope. And the whole track was done in like 2 days because I already had I was just messing around, like fucking around, having fun.
Right, like a spark of creativity, right? You don't know when it's going to come.
So like I think it's so important when you have that spark to get right in the studio, like whether it's at 1 a.m. or whatever, because once that goes away, that's done. Following up on that, I think it's so important to have a fast workflow. So for me, I have a template set up in Logic. So I have, all my stuff grouped already. So I have a track for my kick drum, and it's in a group. I have a track for my bass with the sub bass that I know works, and I have it in a group. So right off the bat, I can start getting something going that I know sounds good. And when that happens, you could always change it out or substitute it or whatever.
Right.
So having a template is super important, something that'll, allow your workflow to be faster. And 3, my other biggest thing I tell all my students is use good samples. If you use good samples and good sounds, it makes everything so much easier in the long run, like the mixing and whatever, because a lot of my students, like, they'll throw in a kick drum from whatever sample pack, and they'll sit there for hours tweaking it, like boom, boom, boom. Why would you do that when you could go to like a show tech track and sample one of their kick drums and throw that in there and just have something that sounds good already. Or go to the Cashmere pack. He has so many good kick drums. Why are you sitting there trying to create your own kick drum? Try and get started fast, because once you start tweaking that kick drum for like 1 hour, then it becomes 2 hours, and then it becomes 3 hours.
Right. And
your idea is lost.
on one piece, right? When you're talking about 40, 50, 60, 70 channels.
So using good samples and having a good folder. Like I have a folder on my sample folder that's called Purari Samples, and it has my kick from Beast, it has my kick from Break Your Back. So I know if I'm making a G House track, I can throw that kick in there and it's going to work really well. I have all my effects saved. I have all my chains saved, my reverb. So like if I want to throw a giant reverb on one of my synths, I throw in the Beast one, and it already has all the routing and all that done.
Yep.
So I don't have to sit there for 2 minutes and 30 seconds putting a reverb on, then sidechaining it, then EQing it, and then doing this. It's already done, you know? So it's super important to be organized like that.
These are all good points, and this kind of like goes back to Brian's statement yesterday about when we were talking about DJs in the club, like constantly searching their libraries. Like it's the same thing. Like you just got to be organized. Like
organized.
Like
yeah.
if you're trying to make this your job, be organized. As long as if you are organized, that is step one at becoming successful.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree more. And Mike, you covered a lot of ground there, and all stuff that I completely agree with. So I think like it's important, like if you're going to invest yourself into one DAW. I would say, you know, if you're going to learn it, spend your time learning one thing, right? You don't want to, you know, spend a little bit of time on a bunch of different things and then you're not great at any of them. This would be like more closer to just, you know, make sure that you're looking up all YouTube videos, you're asking people, you know, if there's something I don't know how to do or a sound I'm not totally unsure how to achieve, I would say that, you know, just YouTube it or Google it, man, because someone's putting it out there, and there's stuff that you're doing in Logic. Like all DAWs are the same conceptually, right? They all can do the same thing. So I don't think people should get caught up in like, well, should I do Ableton or Logic or Pro Tools or Sony Acid or Fruity Loops or whatever, go down the list. You know, I would say they all do the same thing fundamentally. So it's find what you're comfortable with, right? That would be the first piece.
Yeah, it's like driving a Tesla versus driving a Toyota. The Toyota might be a little easier to drive and you're used to it, but you can get in a Tesla and drive it. Like the gas pedal's in the same place, the steering wheel's in the same place.
The gas pedal's the same, the brake is the same, but it's a different car. You know, like that's all it is. It's the same thing with EQ. Ableton's EQ is different than Logic's EQ in the way it looks, but they both do the same thing. Compressor, the attack on the Ableton compressor is the same thing as the attack on the Logic compressor. You just have to know what they do and how they affect the sound or whatever. So that's what I teach a lot of my students, and that's why I think it's so important, because whether they always ask me, oh, well, I have Ableton and you work in Logic. But that doesn't matter, because what I'm teaching you is the tools that applied across everything.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, maybe I don't know how to select a MIDI. I don't know the key commands in Ableton that well because I don't work in it. But
you could Google it. Like
right, you Google it. Like it's the same thing. Like I know how to do it still, but like I just don't know how to do it off the top of my head. Whereas in Logic, I know the key commands. So yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Mike, Purari, why don't you tell the people, you know, where can they find your information if they want to go check out some of the tracks that you reference? Like, what's your Instagram? Where do you post your stuff?
Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, everything. So I think Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's always Purari DJ, Purari DJ. SoundCloud is soundcloud.com/Purari official, or you can just search in Purari. Spotify, Purari. Yeah, I mean, all my stuff's all over the place. If you want to look for my old stuff, you're going to have to do a little bit of searching. You got to search Mikey P, but I mean, a lot of my stuff is on DMP, which I know a lot of the guys tuning in are very familiar with. Ton of Mikey P stuff is on there still. But yeah, I'm just, you know, my music's everywhere. Headliner Music Club, like you name it, my stuff's there. And that's just, you know, me sending out my music everywhere. Like you said, you really just got to blast it everywhere. It's got to be everywhere you look. So
yeah, that's good stuff, man. We appreciate you coming on, just talking production tips with us today. And you know, this will be saved back if you want to share with some people. Like I said, everyone that's following us over on the Facebook and on the Twitch, come subscribe to the YouTube channel. where we're going to be reposting all this information for you guys to go back and check it out. So, Mike, Purari DJ, my man from Hoboken, thank you so much for joining us here on the Parlor. And, just looking forward to growing the community here, and we're glad that you're a part of it.
Definitely, bro. Thanks for
Mike.
having me, guys. And what you guys are doing is awesome. Just keep it up. I love this quarantine time you guys are putting into use. So
yeah, man. We were talking about it. It's funny. We were talking, saying like, hey, we should always do a YouTube channel, right? And it's about finding the time. So I will never have another time in my life where I have 3 weeks off of work and 4 weeks off of work, whatever it is. And,
use the time.
Right. Just put it into something we're interested in. So we appreciate you being a part of it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. All right, bro. Talk to you.
All right. Later.
All right, so next up we got a LA-based producer. His name's Stanley Kubrix. We're really excited to bring him on from the West Coast. He's putting out some really, really dope tech house edits, originals, and his whole squad is, they're producing some really, really dope stuff right now. So, just sit tight. We're going to patch him in just a second. And, just looking forward to talking to this artist. But once again, if you're on our Facebook, hop over to youtube.com/ClassKills. If you guys are listening, please share the link and, just subscribe to the channel as we continue to push up more information and more updates about the Parlor Talk. So if you can, just do me a favor, go over there to youtube.com/ClassKills and hit that subscribe button. Thanks. All right, guys. So welcome back to the Parlor here. So we're super excited to introduce you guys all the way from the West Coast, LA vibes. Give it up for Stanley Kubrix here on the left and my man Benny Bace on the right. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're super excited to have you guys here. And for the next 30, we're just doing a quick artist spotlight. We're going to talk about some of those questions we had sent over to you. And just welcome, man. How's it going over there? You guys, I'm sure, in a similar situation as us, gigs canceled, kind of in the studio, just hustling on track.
Yep,
so
exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like, we're on the quarantine and stuff, but I'm not gonna lie, things haven't changed too much for me. I'm pretty much stuck in isolation, making music anyway. And my boy Benny here always has to drag me out to do some gigs, which I'm fortunate to do as well. But so it's kind of interesting. It's kind of been nice to, it's kind of hasn't changed too much for me. But for Benny, though, what do you DJ every weekend?
Yeah, I had 2-3 gigs a week and stuff around there. So now it's no gigs. So yeah, it's definitely took a toll.
Yeah, so dealing with that. But we're, pulling through, trying to do things like this. I think this is cool. I think we can keep everybody still entertained and having fun, even if it's just at home.
Yeah, for sure. Nico, tell me a little bit. Well, your first name's Nico, but tell me a little bit about what projects you have, because Stanley Kubrix is your main solo project, right? And then you also work on some other stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. I've dabbled in quite a few, but not to make a long story. I'll make a long story short. I've also worked with LA Dirtbags. They were a group that I started in Miami. In South Florida, and did had a pretty nice run with that. We got to open up for a couple pretty awesome artists. We got to open for MK, Walker and Royce. We also got to open for Christian Martin.
Nice.
And I got to really enjoy the house scene and techno scene over in South Florida with them. I had to move back due to some health concerns, whatnot. So on my way back, I kind of started focusing mainly more on my own. It's not that LA Dirtbag's still going. And really what it comes down to is my dream would be to have multiple groups going at once, and I'm in the studio constantly making music. So that's the main goal. But right now, Stanley Kubrix is probably the one I'm pushing most as far as productions. But check it out soon. We will have the EP coming out for LA Dirtbags as well. And then also too, Benny, I work with him making music. We actually just both co-produced a song recently called what was it, Hood Boy? Or no,
Homeboy.
Homeboy, yes. And man, and we've been playing it pretty consistently and having really positive feedback. So
yeah, lots of positive feedback.
Ben, you want to just slide over a little bit because you're not really in the view at all.
Come on.
all right, he's back. He's back, baby. No, that's awesome, man. That's a good kind of intro flow kind of into really the next question here is talk about some of your inspirations. Whether that be what inspires your live sets, what inspires the music that you make, who do you look up to, artists, genres, things like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, also, you want to jump on that too? Well, think of that while I push this out real quick. I love the director Stanley Kubrix, and one of the funny things about him is that he's kind of known for being I want to say perfectionist. Tenacity is probably one of his things. I guess he's well known for making people do like a take over and over and over, even though the take's maybe only like 5 minutes long or whatever. So it kind of reminded me, it was kind of like how producers work, like they could spend like hours and hours on a stupid snare. So that's kind of where I get that inspiration from. Musically though, oh man, it's a big wide range, but I'll narrow it down a little bit. I've always loved house, floor to the floor. When I first started raving and stuff, trance was big. Trance is dope too, don't get me wrong. But I always gravitated to the house stage, and it evolved throughout the years. It went from like house to deep house. Then you had artists like Mark Farina, Miguel Miggs. I was really into that for a minute. And they always had like a little special place in my heart because it was always the side stage. It was always the darker stage. It was always like usually the bar was at that stage too, which is kind of funny. And then also too, it evolved from there. Like from that stage, you kind of gravitated more towards electro. But again, you still had that, nice, 909 hi-hat, just that boots and pans. And it's kind of nice to see like the younger generation get really into it. It trips me out. My niece, she's like, I don't know, she's like 16. And I was just talking about music, whatever. And, I mentioned house and she's like, oh, I know what house is. And it was mind-bending to me to see that, like, oh wow, it's like, it's gravitating to a new generation. So definitely take a lot of inspiration from a lot of factors, but I would definitely say probably like my all-time favorite artist has got to be Green Velvet, because based on kind of like what I was saying, he's kind of followed that evolution for the long. I mean, he's still just tearing the track. So
he's still putting stuff out, man. He's got that voice, though. He's got that voice that everyone recognizes.
Oh, and it's perfect. Yeah, he's always coming up with crazy lyrics.
I mean, it makes it easy when you can just talk into a microphone and people already recognize your voice, and you can just talk and, like with that Chris Lake track, what you're talking about, just whatever it is, just like super catchy stuff. So, no, that's cool, man. And I think inspiration comes from a lot of different places, especially for myself and Chris. You'll routinely catch me not listening to house music. I'm a big fan of like yacht rock, and we listen to like the 2000s punk pop stuff, and just like listening to a little bit of everything, because you never know where that influence is going to come from. So yeah, that's dope, man. So what's like the next project that's coming out for you guys? Like, do you have a track that's coming to be released, or is it the LA Dirtbags EP? Like, what's the next thing on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so the LA Dirtbags, we've been shopping those tracks around. We're actually, we're going to try to take a unique take on this. I'm going to instead do an old school route with LA Dirtbags, in the sense that I want to pump it out to all the DJs, as many DJs as possible. See which one kind of gravitates, see which one the crowd kind of feels, see which one, does the best, and then kind of push it from there. And, for me, it's kind of like, I kind of dabbled in the music industry for, when I was younger. But one of the key factors that they always used to do is they always used to play their music at malls and stuff. And it's kind of based on the principle: the more you hear something, the more you gravitate towards it. So my thinking is the more and more people hear it, the more, you don't need to know it's our track, but, the more and more, whichever ones, it'll almost like start to gravitate or grow on its own. And whichever track that is, that's the track we push out. For here, though, I've been working, really fortunate, actually, with Benny. He's, and actually Space Taco. Oh, gotta shout out Space Taco. They welcomed me into their home, and I really appreciate it. And Slightly Sizzled Records, they welcomed me in too as well. And Benny has been my big helper in that. Actually, long story short, the reason I met him, he was DJing at Space Taco, and I didn't know anybody, and I was passing out USBs and whatever to any DJ I thought was cool. So I passed out all my like promo USBs, and then Benny starts DJing, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is exactly like this is what I'm trying to go for, right? So I didn't have anything else except my ratty, torn to bits, pink, broken plastic USB that I've had for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I don't know how I had it. So I was like, I run up to him. He's like running out of the venue. I'm thinking this guy is like, oh shit, he's on to a new gig. He's already going to like somewhere in LA. So I'm like running to him like, hey man, my name's Stanley Kubrix. Yo, just look, like, this is my USB, but just look up that name to find it, find my music in there. I just need you to have it, And from like, what was it, like a couple weeks later, I met up with you again. Dude, it was so cool because a couple weeks later, he's like, yo, Stanley. And I'm like, nobody called me Stanley at that time, right? And I was like, oh shit, yo,
it's me.
He's like, yo, well, I don't know, I'll go from there, I guess,
Yeah, I was like, dude, you got some fucking bangers on here, man. I was like, yo, this is nuts.
Bangers.
I was really digging his style, man. It was something that I've definitely been looking for. So like when I came across his music, it was like, whoa, it was like natural connection. It's definitely my style. Like I play his music out everywhere I go, all my gigs. Not even because he's my boy, mainly because like I like his music and shit. He knows how to pump out some good tracks, man, with that funky bass line and shit. But yeah, man, that's kind of how we started. Yeah, he just gave me that USB that's all broken. It
looks good.
And the rest is history, right?
That's it. Now you guys are sitting together.
It's on its last days, so he shot me that, and I don't know how it still functioned, but it functioned. It worked, and I was able to download all his tracks, and I still play him out to this day. Like I play him out like at all my gigs. I'm always sending him videos of people jamming out to his music and stuff.
Which is amazing to me, and it's cool too because like from Benny, he's giving it to he'll be going back with other artists, other DJs here, and they'll ask him like where
where you get this at?
So they'll hit me up, and it's so awesome. I could like give them a nice link with everything. So I've been really fortunate and blessings I had to more of this happening is where I got about good 6 DJ homies that are playing the tracks, and you can't ask for anything better as far as that goes. And I'm even hearing now that like cats have been using my tracks in San Diego too as well.
Some guys out in Jersey, I don't know who they are. Some guys out in Jersey are playing your tracks though. I don't know who they are, but like I've heard it a few times.
Oh yes. So Jersey, Miami, LA, and some Vegas too. So
there you go.
That's the goal. Is just keep getting that music out there to the DJs and keep
get those Shazams up, right? The more Shazams, the more support you're getting.
That's exactly.
That's good, man.
I want to see like people going like, "What's that ID?"
So, Benny. So you got a track coming out, Benny, and Nico. I think you helped him on this one, right? So
yeah,
I wanted to I'm gonna play this one real quick. I'll just play like the first drop, just so everyone can kind of like hear it, and then we'll like talk about it a little bit.
All right, cool.
Once again, thanks everyone for joining the live here right now. If you're over on our Facebook, you can hop over to our YouTube and subscribe over to our channel. You can see all the different stuff we got going on, pushing out all these different episodes. Chris Leeds queuing up a quick track right now by my man Benny Bace. And I think we're going to spin it and then listen to it, and then we'll talk about it.
Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna do this again because I just screwed it up. We had the bass filtered out on the mixer here. All right, one more time.
But you can't take it. But you can't take
I love that little wheel wheel.
Right? That's all Benny now. He loves those. He loves them.
But you can't take it.
That's a good vibe, man. That's a straight roller right there for me. Couple elements that like really stick out for me. You know, I think obviously you guys nailed the bass line. Like the mix, I think the mix is really good. That bass line is.
That means a lot, man.
This guy right here.
It fits really well. Like, you know, you weren't trying to jam too much into the spectrum, which I think is important. Kick super solid. A lot of a lot of classic tech elements that I think are important. So you're really in genre, right? You weren't trying to be something you're not. Definitely on my playlist. That's a track out by Benny Bace for those of you guys listening.
Not out yet.
Soon. It'll be out soon.
Yeah,
I'll say soon. Yeah.
Soon.
But we'll make sure we're going to put all your social media links and stuff like that in the bottom of the episode on YouTube.
Nice.
So people can go navigate, keep their eyes open for when that track comes out. But yeah, man, that's like just a good groove right now. That's a lot of what we're playing. So that style is, it's like transcending into the club, for early or late sets. At least that's what we're seeing in New Jersey scene, at least.
Yeah, that's definitely what I think a majority of the DJs around here are starting to push. I mean, it all started with Fisher going basically mainstream 2 years ago. And since he's gone mainstream, now everyone's like, I get more song request. That is probably the top requested song I get. And it's usually guys that look like they just walked off their dad's yacht, but they usually roll in and they're like, yo, play Losing It. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I got you. And there's a whole bunch of other shit, too, that you haven't heard that you're going to lose your mind to.
Yeah, that's fine.
I got you.
That's awesome.
That's
I mean, it is fascinating to see that, and okay, all right, he does get a lot of shit, and he is kind of a knucklehead, whatever. But I will give it to him he did bring a relatively underground sound to some fresh ears, to say the least. And whether you like it or not, or whether you're one of those purists that are upset about it, honestly, for me, it comes down to, hey, man, more ears, more the merrier. Let's, let everybody enjoy it. And, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, no problem. But, it is fascinating to see. And we were, like I said, we were just talking about it. And it's something interesting to us that somebody like that really brought to the forefront. And actually, long story short on him, too, is that when he came out with the I can't remember which track. It's not the most biggest one. It's the one he came out with Dirty Bird. Long story short,
the first one he came out with was Yacht Kidding.
One of those. I can't remember. But he played it at Dirty Bird Camp Out in 2018 on the West Coast. And he played it during the family set when it was like, all right, basically the family set's like, everybody play your best track, put your best banger out there, whatever. Puts it on, and the whole crowd goes insane. And Cloud Van Stroke gets on the mic and he's like, holy shit, y'all know it, and it's not even out yet. So it's like, that's something that, I'm kind of striving towards as well, is that, like, if it's a good track, it's a good track, And he got it out there, he pushed it, and, more power to him. Or his team did, whoever.
Yeah.
But,
no,
exactly.
That's dope. I think he just blew up from there, man. It was just crazy. Yeah. And I think that's what you got to do. You just got to, like, figure out what's, like, right on the cusp of being mainstream and just, like, push it. And it'll just, like, and you'll just break through. Like, you're just making killer shit right now. So I think it's really good. And, you're getting the support from the DJ community. And then from there, it only goes out to, being something that will eventually, become mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, and I think too is like, for us especially, it's like, it's really exciting because it's like we're making music for each other, like we're making music for our homies. It's like stuff we like genuinely like really love, like we've been saying, So it's for us, it's nice, it's cool. Like I said, like my niece knows house music or tech house or techno, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got issues with whatever they're calling it, but regardless, it's for us, it's like something that's always been there, and we've always loved, and it's and we're happy to see that a little spotlight's on it right now. So
that's super dope. So, keeping with the theme today, just talking about production tips like that. I mean, if you could drop some knowledge, couple quick tidbits for someone that's new to the game or interested in trying to get into producing music, making their own stuff. Drop a couple pieces of knowledge. If you could on that.
Sure. Yeah. I'll run down probably one of the most helpful quick tips that has helped me like really start churning out tunes. I would definitely say make as many tunes as possible. There used to be the old adage of working on a song for months. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that there's still room for that as well. But also too, there's nothing wrong with just churning out tracks, because what I tend to do now is I will do like a 16 bar loop, right? I'll make one 16 bar loop, the bass, whatever, what have you. Then I'll make another one, then I'll make another one. So then I'll look at those three and then I'll kind of be like, okay, which one do I like the best? Maybe send it to a couple friends and, they'll tell me like, okay, this one's better, or I don't really like this one. Because you can never really tell which one's going to be the good one, And then from there, you could then, okay, cool, it's track number 2. I'm going to work on track number 2, finish it up, arrange it, get it all done, polish it up, and then send it out again. And then keep it in a cycle. So that I would say, churning out, not being afraid of not overcomplicating your tracks, not trying to put too much into it, like you were saying earlier too. I think that's important, and just trying to keep the flow going as much as possible, because your first one's going to suck, your second one's going to suck, your third one's going to suck, your fourth one's going to be okay, then your fifth one's going to suck. It's a long process on that. Learning process. The second big tip I would definitely, that's been super helpful for me, is using reference tracks. And what I mean by reference track, it's not that you're copying the song. That's not what you want to do. But you're using it as to make sure it's in the same ballpark, right? Are the hi-hats EQ'd the same, or is the kick EQ'd the same? Because, to the average listener, if someone says, "Oh, you listen to electronic music," they think it's just one thing. But yet, if you go from techno to tech house, the kick is totally different. The hi-hats are totally different. They're spaced different. They're panned or they're stereo different. So it's like little things like that. I would definitely say use a reference track just to get you in the ballpark of where you need to be sonically, and then also too to help you arrange it. Where are the where's the groove hit? Where's the, I like to call the uplift, basically where they suck out the bass, but where's the drop per se, however you want to say that. That's helped me out a lot. And then also too, I think maybe the last one I'll kind of go over is don't be afraid to show your tracks to your friends, and take
yeah.
It's much better to, and it's got to be a friend you trust.
Yeah.
Because most people are going to be like, oh yeah, it's a good track.
Yeah, everyone's going to tell you it's good. Yeah, you want the people who tell you it sucks,
honest feedback.
But you want them to tell you why it sucks, so that way you could fix it and make it better.
You got to be okay with that. You got to like step aside that, like, hey, they're not saying you as a person suck, right? They're not saying that. Yeah. It's just like, hey, I'm not feeling that one. That's okay, cool. Put that one to the bank. Don't have to throw it away. Just put it in the bank.
That's a good friend, though.
That is a good friend.
That's a good friend.
Yep. My ex years ago, I remember the first song I ever made on the computer. I was like, yo, what do you think about this? She's like, I would have danced to it. And I'm like,
damn.
Back to the seat.
Every track from here on out, you better tell me which way. Which
can you dance to it?
So, I would dance to that one. So.
Yo, man, we're getting close to time here, but I want to. I got another Stanley Kubrix track queued up. This is one of your originals that you have unreleased here. So it's That You.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's drop this, and then we'll talk
Awesome.
about this one a little bit, because I think everyone's like digging and
Okay.
listening to the unreleased music. It's kind of cool.
Nice.
Now you gotta do the hand flip. That's when you do the hand flip. Second drop.
I think one of the elements that like really stick out there were like how crispy the hi-hats are.
Oh, thank you. I'll admit, I did work on a maybe like 4 hours on those.
Yeah, they cut they
4-hour hi-hat, bro. That is a 4-hour hi-hat.
hi-hat.
It sounds fucking crispy. That is fucking crispy, and we're listening to this shit on
Yes.
some Atom speakers over here with the ribbon fucking tweeter, and like
Nice.
these things hide nothing. So if it sounds good on these, it sounds good.
yeah, it was crispy. I like that.
Yes.
And it's good, and it's and you know you really I think again I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy that listens to a lot of music, but definitely real clean. The bass line's clean, no distortion. I think that's like really key. And it rolls, you know. I think it all fits together. So it's a well put together track. So tell the people real quick, everyone that's tuned in right now, where your socials. So you know your Instagrams or where can people find you, and just be specific about where that is and spell it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much, I'm kind of one of those guys that trying to minimize. So really, just Instagram. So at Stanley Kubrix, Instagram's probably the best, easiest. You can even talk to me, whatever you want.
That's Kubrix, right?
Oh yes, yeah. Let me specify that. It's with an X. Stanley Kubrix.
Stanley Kubrick is another famous person.
That's another guy, right?
But he's Kubrick.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
Kubrix. If you want the crispy hi-hats, it's with an X.
Crispy hi-hats.
And Benny, tell us, where can we get you on your socials?
I'm at Benny Bace, at Benny_Bace. So pretty easy.
BENNY?
Yeah.
Cool.
BNNY_BACE.
Yup, got him. Hood fellas.
Quick,
Love it, man.
I was gonna say, yeah. A quick shout out. My boy does House Supply. I don't know if you guys can see this awesome little.
Yeah. I
hat
noticed
here.
you guys are all swagged out over there.
Yes.
Yes.
That's actually another reason I was trying to buy it, but it's all exclusive right now. So he's not selling it yet. He's only giving it to the homies, which is
So you're just borrowing that hat right now. You gotta give it back.
No, it's mine. It's mine. But I tried to buy it, and I was like, "What the hell am I buying this at?" He's like, "Well, it's still under your."
Yeah, this is actually one of my other ones as well.
Okay.
So quick shout out on that.
Yeah, quick
All right,
shout
so
out
this
that.
is that's the West Coast swag. So I'm gonna give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors over here, Ledge Official, our East Coast swag
Ooh.
attire.
Hey,
Not
I like
it's
it.
not
That's
out
a
yet.
glove.
It's not out yet. It's unreleased
There we
stuff,
go.
but it's coming
Okay.
soon. Ledge official.
Nice.
Yeah, you
I
can check
feel
them
it.
out on
I
the
feel
gram.
it.
So, listen, Stanley, Benny, man, thank you so much for the time today. We appreciate you guys just shooting it up with us and just kind of everyone using this time in the community, in the music community, a little bit better, just to kind of get the word out there and spread the word. So, like I said, thank you everyone on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube for tuning in today. This episode of Parlor Talk will be uploaded there. So within the next day or two, you'll be able to check that out and go back and play back. And we appreciate your support, man. So keep it going, keep putting out the beats, and then for everyone else that's listening, we're going to take Stanley and Benny's information. We're going to populate it in the bottom of our YouTube. That's youtube.com/ClassKills. We'll get all your information in there, so you guys can click through to that, follow them on their socials, and just connect with them. And they're putting out some real hot LA stuff right now.
That's it. Yo, Nico, Benny, thank you guys.
Thank you guys so
Nico,
much.
I'll talk
Really
to you soon,
appreciate
bro.
it. Yes, sir. Have a good
Take
one.
care.
All right, boys.
Later. Oh, shit.
Yeah, so real quick, I just want to personally thank everyone that's been kind of joining us and getting behind this movement. Everyone that's over on the Facebook, thank you so much. Everyone that's following on the YouTube. So if you can, just push out the youtube.com/ClassKills link. You guys can subscribe there to our channel. So we're going to put all the Parlor Talk episodes. We got some really awesome talent coming up here. I'm going to just pull up the schedule really quick. We're going to kind of run through some of those artists and industry people that are coming on. But we're super excited over the next week or two, or maybe what appears to be for the foreseeable future here. Having a feature every single night here, and we're excited because we're going to start to weave in just some general nightlife industry acts and people, right? So it's going to be bartenders, it's going to be owners, nightclub managers, nightlife people. All different types of personalities, not just like DJ related. So we're looking to kind of broaden the scope and kind of get some people in here. But tune in tomorrow night, episode 5. We got Nico the bartender. For those of you that know him, he is quite the personality, and his brand Griptins. We're going to talk a little bit about behind the bar and how DJs can impact the flow of information and how the customers are interacting with the bartenders and the music and things like that. So it's going to be very bar driven. We're going to talk about his new product, Griptins, and then followed up with the artist spotlight with Rich Diets, the homies. We're going to talk about some of their new releases, some of the stuff they got going on. It's a Florida and New Jersey type vibe going on there. So shout out to Joe and Mike. We're going to have them on tomorrow night. And then show 6, we're New Jersey native DJ David S, really good friend of mine personally. We're gonna be talking to him about different like being on the radio and how to programming music for radio talk and things like that. And the artist spotlight for show 6 is gonna be Angelo the Kid. We're hailing from Hoboken, one of the other Get Down guys, which we're working closely with here. But we're going to talk about him putting out edits. He's had a couple edits that have broken really well, and just being another DJ that's just out there putting the hours in, grinding, taking all the different as many shifts as he can. So artist spotlight with him on episode 6. So thanks everyone. We really appreciate it. If you can share the YouTube link, go over, please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night. Thanks.